Hi, I'm Father Jim Haney. I'm the rector of St. Paul's in the Plains Episcopal Church in Lubbock, Texas, and I have some thoughts to share with you today. It is Tuesday, the 15th of November. One of the toughest books in the entire Old Testament is the book of Lamentations. Lamentations used to have been thought to have been written by the prophet Jeremiah. Perhaps it was written by some other poet that lived in Jeremiah's time. But the subject matter of the book is very depressing. The poet is reflecting on the destruction of Jerusalem in the 580s BC. Everything they'd known is wiped out. Most of the people of Jerusalem have been carried off into exile. Everything is up for grabs. The entire foundation of their life has been pulled out from under them. And it is a depressing book. If you're trying to be happy, most of Lamentations is not for you, except for a wonderful ray of light that shines in the middle of the book, in the third chapter. In the third chapter, in the 21st verse, the poet says this, in the midst of all this reflection on the bad things that have been happening, he says, "But this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope." Where's the hope? He says this, "The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness." It's a wonderful thing, an expression of hope that doesn't deny the difficulties of life. The hope comes right in the midst of all the tough stuff. And yet, the poet is asking us to turn our minds to God in the midst of tough stuff, to find hope through turning our minds to who God is. And that's important. The attribute of God that he focuses on is God's steadfast love. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. This is a powerful Hebrew word. It's the word chesed. It's a word that occurs in the Old Testament a bunch of times, 244 times in the Old Testament. It's a tough word to translate into English. It can be translated as loving kindness or loyal love or covenant love. But it's a love that will stick with us regardless of what's going on. It's a love that is persistent. It's a love that's reliable. It's a love that we can count on. And that never ceases. It never comes to an end. It's new every morning. Every morning you have a new chance to experience God's love in your life. There's a wonderful, one of my favorite science fiction movies is the movie Aliens, where a group of space Marines is going off to fight the aliens. And the sergeant wakes up the Marines one morning and says, "Another glorious day in the Corps." And he continues that in the Corps, every meal's a banquet, every paycheck a fortune, every formation's a parade. "I love the Corps," he says. Well, that's the opportunity we have as Christians. Every morning we have an opportunity for another glorious day, basking in God's chesed, God's loving kindness, to experience another gift from God, the gift of life for one more day, another day to enjoy God's love and God's gifts and blessings for all of us. This is a tough time. It's been a tough year. Heck, it's been a tough century. The 21st century has not been the easiest century in our history. And yet, God's faithfulness, God's loving kindness, God's chesed is there every morning for us. New every morning. Great is God's faithfulness. So I would leave you with that thought today. May God bless you and keep you this day.